Okay.
Cool.
Well, let's move on to segment number 2. And now we're going to toss it to somebody that's a little irate about this first thing. We're going to talk about some of the things that we found out about 3.10. And up first is Callie Josh talking about flight model changes and how much he loves them.
You know, I think all of us need a good friend. And we need a good friend because we can't always see ourselves, right? Like we have blinders to things that we do. And so maybe I need to take a calm blue ocean, like my background color breath, and just relax a little and just kind of let the new systems and model be absorbed in a not so biased way. So we're going to do something slightly different tonight. I'm going to mention some things. I'm going to try to do them neutral, and the audience can tell me if I'm crazy or if what I'm seeing is real. So please feel free to rip me apart if I'm crazy or if it's real, because I have some strong opinions. We've seen that, and I want to see if people agree with me. So Jacqueline, if you could bring up the image proximity assist, please.
She's pulling up now. Just give her a second.
So the image, please. So for those that don't know, by default, there are a couple things turned on in the game that you probably don't want. I have 2 of them highlighted here. One of them is G-Safe, which we're not talking about tonight. But the other one is proximity assist. And someone correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea I understood proximity assist to be was to maybe prevent you from hitting the ground when you're flying low, or to prevent you from hitting objects. And I did some testing on this, and I got to say that I don't understand what it does at all. I think there might be a good intention, but I can't see it. If Jacqueline can bring up the video here, I want to discuss this first. What you're going to see in this video is me testing what I would consider a high performance maneuver. So coming in not at max speed, but at high speed. And you're going to see me try to stop.
The wrong way to increase it there. You should hit the little thing. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
That's okay. You're going to see me try to stop here. And this is without proximity assist on. And what's going to happen is you're going to see I come to a nice stop right at the beginning of the pad, almost where I wanted to. And the machine handles like you want. This next one is with proximity assist on, and you're going to see me fighting it a little bit, getting in to try to get in position. It's doing some weird stuff. I begin to cut off the throttle and hit speed brake at the exact same time I did before. And you're going to see I just continue to drift at 4, 5, 10 meters per second until almost the end of the pad. Now I can redo this over and over again. I also tested this going close to the ground, trying to see if it would stop me. And I actually had to pull up here to prevent it from hitting. It hit anyways. I tried to push back down again gently to see if it would stop me from hitting. And all I continue to do is bounce off the ground. So the only thing that proximity assist seems to do is prevent you from being in control of your ship. And I don't know about you, but maybe I'm crazy. I want to have positive control of my ship at all times. When I pull the throttle back and hit the speed brake, I want the dang thing to stop, and I want it to stop right now, right? So call me crazy, agree with me, whatever. But I think this little video and demonstration suggests you go into your game settings and you turn off proximity assist. And for the vehicle experience team and Star Citizen in general, this is one of many default features that maybe shouldn't be on, because if you get in and are trying to fly your ship at a high level or try to push the maneuvering on it, you'd probably be pretty irritated with the way that flies.
Yeah, and Josh and I talked about this one previously. He did all the testing. I just did the whining. And but Frostzone said, "Hey, just so you know, proxy assisted turrets, and totally different topic. This is totally different, not related at all. If proxy assist was a toggable item function, something that I had a keybind to, turn it on and off when I wanted to, it'd be fine. But it's not. It's either going to be on before you join the game, or no one's going to hit options, go in there and turn the damn thing off halfway through the game. So That's the problem with it, is just turn the darn thing off. It's not worth any benefits you got to get from it. Josh is absolutely right.
Well,
Josh, you
in all
failed to
fairness,
mention the other problem with proximity assist, and that is if you have a very large ship, it makes it virtually impossible for you to take off from a landing pad anywhere if you have that on, because it's automatically slowing your ship down because it's closer to the ground. So you have to have proximity assist off to lift off any of your large vessels now.
Yeah, and even in the Valkyrie,
Yeah.
I had to use the afterburner to get it to come off the ground.
Right. It was a holdover from hover mode. If you guys remember, when hover mode went away, the idea was that proximity assist would be in there to give you that floaty feel that you got from the hover mode experience.
Yeah, I don't know. Taking control away
And
from me is.
it was in hover mode so that you would be able to slow down and not hit anything, because hover mode was, if y'all remember sitting out getting the lawn chair out at Lorville as people tried to land and just watching them pile drive into the ground, it was there to help slow that down, and it was a feature that they kept. And quite frankly, I don't think it's needed, not with the VTOL. The VTOL, the piece they got right. I like the VTOL. Just give us that, don't worry about the rest. If we slam it to the ground, that's our bad piloting.
Yeah.
well, in all fairness, I mean, if you're a retarded monkey that didn't know anything about flight sims or doing anything useful, you would think proximity assist is great.
On paper.
Are you calling CIG names?
On paper, it's great.
Wow.
Maybe.
It's not even consistent according to ship size, though. Like you pointed out, the Valkyrie is really affected real hard.
It doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it's like a retarded blind monkey decided, oh, this sounds like a great idea. Boop, 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 boop.
Josh,
wait
you
till
did
we
say
get
you
to
were
the
going to
next
be
topic.
neutral, right?
I was neutral. I just said that I didn't find uses for it, and I gave examples. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'll try to be more neutral in the next segment.
There is a use for it. If we toggle on and off. We can't toggle it on and off.
I don't see the use for it at all.
No,
I'm going to be
I don't want to
honest.
land. I don't want to land right now. I want it on. Okay, I'm not going to crash. Or if it worked properly, I'm not going to crash. Or less likely to crash, I should say. Now, I want to land. Let's take it off so I can make a smooth landing and make it, let that be that. If they
Yes,
said, if we
Frost.
just turn it on or off in game. I'd be
If it's
okay.
balanced right for a ship and you're coming in for a landing, it can make for a smoother touchdown if you're concerned about hitting the ground too hard and causing damage to the ship. But you're absolutely right. It needs to be a toggle.
Yeah, it'll make your speed brake a little bit more effective as you get closer to the ground if you had it on. I agree with that, Nam. But it's not consistent across the size and mass of the ships, though.
Oh, it is.
And it doesn't take in consideration what's in front of you. Doing some of those practices, I actually hit and got stuck in one of the poles. So while it takes account for the ground in front of you, it doesn't take account for like poles or buildings. And I actually drifted across the pad and slammed into one of the poles and got stuck there. So it only has limited functionality for what it does do.
It's really like it's a feature that shouldn't even be in the game, let alone turned on by default. But Froststone, you are correct. It is on by default, which is why we're pointing it out, because unless you're a retarded monkey that can't fly, even remotely, you don't need it. If that's your only option is on or off, you want it off.
It seems like it's another example of trying to make the game playable for people who don't fly spaceships or simulators. It's an approach, in my opinion, to try and make it more accessible for everybody. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's I think that's what they were going for, was to try and help the people who don't fly anything in a game, not have a horrible experience trying to land. Is it right? No. Does it need work? Yes. Should it be there? I don't know. But maybe that's where they were coming from.
If they made a toggle,
sure,
it wouldn't be that bad.
Right.
Like just make it toggleable.
And
but then
balance
again,
the ships that are broken.
And then again, let's be honest. Maybe we shouldn't suggest them adding more toggles because,
I'm running out of keys.
I mean, we're running out of keybinds.
Oh, we're out, yeah. I'm just going to say that, this whole targeting system that we're going to talk about here in a minute took up a lot of keybinds, like something like 6 or 7 that you need.
Is Josh
So
talking about that one too?
Yes.
We are.
Yeah.
Of course we are talking about that. So next up is turret improvements. Nam, do you have anything to tell us about these
I
turret
wasn't really the one
I thought
testing
that you were targeting.
turrets.
Who was
Somebody
doing the...
here was.
I put the
Oh.
turret things in, but isn't targeting the next thing?
Targeting is next.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Let's talk about targeting. My bad. I skipped over it. All my fault. So Josh, tell us about
We
targeting.
tried.
Okay. So Jacqueline, if you could bring up the first image there on targeting, please. They've added an entire new section, and if you can scroll through the next couple of images there on that, where they have all these different cycling options: cycle, lock, view, in view, pinned, attackers, enemies. It's a ridiculously long list. And so, speaking of the number of buttons and options, I went in and I counted the number of buttons that I would consider as potential buttons useful to be on a HOTAS. So there are several categories. There's, cockpit, flight, movement. I excluded the axes, and I just limited it to the sections where there might be something. In total, there is 110 buttons. Okay. 110. I mean,
There's only one stick on the planet that's mass produced that does that.
Well, so here we go. I have the HOTAS Warthog.
Yes,
And I
which isn't
counted
the
up-
one I'm thinking of.
No,
But
I
go
know,
ahead.
but I counted up all of the buttons on there and I times them by 2 because you can have the primary function on there and then you can have a modifier and it gives you a second button. So with that in consideration, with all of the buttons available, it is 73 buttons. So even if you had a good high-end HOTAS, which I think the Warthog has more than many of the other ones out there.
It does, but it is missing modes that the SATECs have.
Sure, but that also has a lot less hat switches. Okay. So we're talking about an unsustainable problem. And the problem is, once again, we have been flying aircraft and shooting things out of them for over 100 years. Governments have been spending in that 100 years probably several $1 trillion in developing aircrafts. But more importantly, developing the systems to make it so that things interact. And I'm going to say it again. A data management-like system that lets you select either your left, right, MFD, or your HUD. And then you have a series of keys that do different things, but they're the same keys, but they do different things in different screens. In other words, you can slew around, you can select, deselect, or a few options. Would reduce these number of keys to a functional use. And let me give you an example. Modern F-18 fighter in DCS. All you need to do to lock and shoot down a target is you need to set that MFD, that multifunction display that has your radar on it, as your sensor of interest. So that means your data management system is interacting with that MFD. You slew to the target. With one button, you can put the ship in air-to-air mode and select the missile you want. So we've had 3 actions so far. We've selected the radar, we've locked the target, and we've put the ship in the ability to be in air-to-air mode and selected the missile we wanted with the same button. I only need to now wait for it to get in range for it to fire. So that's 4 actions to take. Not cycling, pin cycling, friendlies, attackers, hostiles, and we'll get into what those mean. But I'm like, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to make it the most complicated thing possible in targeting and the worst thing possible in flying? Like, I don't understand. So the solution seems to be take the advice of, and it doesn't have to be exactly the same, right? We don't have to have a recreation of an F-18. But take the advice and the things that they've learned and let's apply them to the future. I think I may have said it before. but a targeting pod is something that I want.
Not
and a
gonna
targeting
happen.
pod, well, right.
You're smoking
Right.
crack.
I am, but let me give you, I am. Let me give you a little example though. As opposed to a dedicated pod that hangs on the bottom of your ship, with sensor integration fusion, maybe you have sensors all around the ship, and now you can zoom in more directions than you could in an F-18. You could see more and do more, and it's already integrated in the ship. You don't have to make it this extra crazy thing. You could integrate these things. You could make them simple. But let me break down what we have found from testing last night. And to the ADI members who helped us test, I appreciate it. You probably heard some foul words in there because I was irritated, but
More than one.
more than one. And before I get made fun of for it, I did crash into somebody and kill us both, so it's okay.
Yeah, I'm better now.
You're better now.
You're looking great now. You're looking great.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's a good thing that you have more than one life. So one thing you got to remember here is, again, they're breaking this down in weird ways. They have added back nearest friendly, which I think is very important for finding your wingman, or at least the nearest guy that you have, or maybe a guy in your flight who's in trouble. I think being able to identify your friendlies from foe is critical. And I'm okay with that being a one button select cycle. In a modern F-18, it's actually more complicated. So this is an area where they could take something that currently exists and make it friendlier, and they did. Although they took that away and now they brought it back, thank goodness. But now you have a difference between attackers and enemies. So the best I can tell, an attacker is somebody who has you locked on radar. And you can cycle between that, which is useful if you're flying through an area and you don't get a radar warning, which I think you would when this happens. And you want to see if someone has you locked, you can cycle and kind of search around to see if someone actually has you locked up. That's a useful feature. The downside to it is it goes away after about 3,000 meters, from what I can tell. Just flying away from the guys, when I went to cycle it, nothing showed up. So it's very limited in its use. So creating 3 different buttons in 3 states, to me, seems a little ridiculous for something that doesn't work very far away, but maybe that will change. Now, as best as I can tell, enemies, another category, is when someone is shooting at you and they have actually turned red. So you now have the difference between who's locking you and who's shooting at you. If I had to limit this down to what I was going to put on my profile and reduce those 110 keys down to the few that I have, I'd probably only have enemies, to be honest with you. But those are the differences that we could tell from the testing last night. Both enemies and attackers disappears at about 7K, which again is a little short and ridiculous and has limited usage, especially considering when cycling all works at about, I think, 15 or 10 or 15,000 meters away, or kilometers away, I'm sorry. So I don't really understand why you would have an enemy that you can identify as specifically an enemy who's shooting at you, but you lose them at 6K, but you can cycle everyone at a farther distance. Once you've identified that target, it seems like if it's still in your ship's range, it would still be identified as that enemy. So you can tell me if I'm crazy or if you agree with me. There is one piece of good news in this that I found, and that is all these cycling and pinning targets can be reduced to 2 buttons, I think. I need to test this a little bit more, but if you choose lock selected target, it will pin that, or pin locked target. It will pin that target. And then if you push it again with that target, it'll actually change it to one of the available numbers for pinning. So for those that don't know, you have 3 numbers available, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So if you have 1 already pinned and you go to pin another ship with this button, it'll make that ship number 2. But if you hold it on there, it'll make it number 3. So you can pin and change the number with 1 button. I think the other button you need is to unpin a target, so because you only have 3. So with that, that's my take so far on the new targeting system. I don't understand all the added buttons and complexity that isn't there. I do like some of the visuals. I'm glad they brought back finding your friendlies and hostiles, even when they're not behind you. But again, I think a better understanding of where we come from in a history of flight would be better than throwing 104 balls of mud against the wall.
Yeah, Josh, we're in the same sheet music in terms of our dislike of the current changes to targeting. We've been that way since Avocati when it first came out in 310. A couple of things to keep in mind, though. And one thing folks need to understand, 5 and 6, that's hostile and friendly. If you hit those buttons, that's great. I haven't by myself. However, you now look at that target right now. And no matter where you fly, you're still looking at it. What you need to do is in game settings, the third one from the bottom, it is you want to take a look at lock target. I think it is. I don't have the terminology right.
Thank you for
You
mentioning
want
that.
to take that off. Okay. Do
Horrible.
not have that. The first time I was using it, I had a hostile in the area. I locked him up. I was in armistice zone. And all of a sudden I realized why I'm trying to land and I'm looking to my left. This is not what I want to have happening going on. How do I stop it? And so I managed to managed to land successfully, but you need to take that off. All right. Get rid of that as soon as you can. Now I am using 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and left alt right now as my quick binds that I have set up for fighters. One question on your idea of cutting it down to 3, which I would love to be able to do, because to be honest, all I ever had was lock nearest hostile, lock nearest friendly, and cycle it through them. Don't worry about it. I was happy as hell with that. But you have to be able to lock the target first before you can pin the target. So you have to have lock in there somewhere.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just meant with the cycling and pinning, but yes, you're correct. You do need to.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole pinning stuff. I think that they've taken something that was reasonably decent and turned it into something that's a lot more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah,
I don't agree with I for sure do not think in any way, shape, or form they should or will mimic an aircraft radar system that we're comfortable with as sim pilots. I think that's a lost cause. But they definitely need to give us a much easier way, and they need to put some realistic ranges on here. You know, I can see another aircraft at 15 kilometers, pretty easy, 17 kilometers. And I've got Coke bottle glasses. So, I definitely should a system with sensors and radar, and that's the other thing that they've got to give us control of, in my mind, is they have to give us the ability to be, whether we're passively or actively detecting targets. But anyhow, back onto my point, which is, if we're talking about it, the sensor range, the detection range of threats, even stealth threats, should be much closer than it is. And we definitely need some kind of RWR system that tells us when we've had missiles launched on us, where they're coming from, all of that stuff. We've got to have some kind of system that gives us.
We used to have that. Remember, it used to pop up little triangles around incoming missiles, incoming and outgoing.
You'll see it if it's in your field of view. If they're shooting straight at you, you'll see them.
Oh, but it won't give you an
You'll get
indicator?
the little icon on your screen as to what type of lock they have, if it's an EM or a heat seeker, but you won't see where it's coming from unless they're shooting right in front of you.
And a raw system would give that to you. So in terms of the EM,
I have 5 buttons I use. That's what I use. I use the lock in view, cycle hostile, lock nearest attacker, I think is what it is, and then the unlock button. And then that's all on one hat that I can hit. And then I have just one button for cycle friendlies, and that's all I use. I don't get into the pinning yet because I think the pinning is for multiplayer ships. So if you're looking at I'm not sure how, until it gets spread, so you can spread the pins to people in your party and they can see it. The pinning is not useful for single seat fighters, I think.
I like the pinning. I use the pinning 1, 2, 3 in a solo fighter, just because at a distance I just start saying, hitting the 1 button. There's 1. It's something else here. Hit 2. Hey, there's 2. Hit 3. Okay, good enough for me. I'm busy, and then I go for whoever's closest. Usually returning back to 1. Right. But the pinning doesn't bother me. And you're right though, in terms of a crew served ship, multi turrets, big advantage.
Please, CIG give the co-pilot the ability to run through the targeting cycle, please, because
And
then
lock
that would make
targets.
it so much easier for them to pin targets and cycle that information to the turret operators.
Yeah, in
And
chat.
more than 3 targets. Come
Yeah,
on.
I was going to
that's true,
say
too.
on the pins, there need to be more than 3, but for them to be really useful, I mean, it's a good thing. They need to be up on your HUD in the corner, saying that basically the number, the ship, whether you give it a name or just a model, and the distance to target. And you can use 2 of the pins for like your wingman and your one for a wingman and then one for like a ship you're escorting or whatever you're up to. And then you got ready information right on your screen there, because that's one of the biggest problems with the escort is you drifting too far from the ship you're escorting.
Yeah,
So that
they
keeps
need.
That's a
it
good
should
point,
be up
'cause
on the HUD. It should be up on the HUD. They are dead set against adding stuff there for some reason.
Well, they're worried about
people
blocking it.
complain. Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, they very least they should have a targeting MFD that you can pull up that shows you where your targets
map.
are and range and that
That's a
kind
good
of stuff.
alternative.
And they need to start. They really have to work on your radar. The radar globy thing is awful. There's no way to tell what you're looking at. And if they combine that with an MFD that explained what was on the radar screen, it would be really helpful.
Well, and even a traditional 2D MFD radar-like system is useful because even though you don't necessarily have elevation above the Earth, you have elevation above or below you. So if you saw on a 2D screen that you had a contact and they're 20 kilometers away and they're plus 20, then you know they're 20 kilometers away and 20 kilometers above you. So it's still useful to understand where they are in proximity to you, and you still can take that 2D map and use it as useful flight information.
Yeah, but it gives me no useful information because it doesn't show me which dot I've got locked on my thing.
No. I'm just saying if you could use a traditional flight radar MFD view to make sense of what's happening in space. You just have to realize it's above and below and a distance from you.
They just got to do something. The current system is unworkable, and you have to get to a point where we can start sending targets to people. I need to be able to target something and say, pass that target information to members in my party so that I can say, okay, you two go handle 2 and I'll go, me and Josh will go handle 1.
Well, I mean, that's part of the function of the perceived function of something like a terrapin, is it's supposed to have some type of AWACS ability, where it can pin targets and send them to packages to deal with it.
I completely agree, but you need to be able to do that inside of a flight.
Sure.
Yes.
We've been able to do that since
I'm just saying
the early 70s.
It's an advertised thing for the terrapin, so hopefully we'll get it eventually.
Hopefully.
It's not like we're talking crazy talk about these nutso, things that have never been mentioned. It's been an advertised thing,
correct,
as part of the terrapin, and I believe some other ships are supposed to have that ability, to manage combat. Like the Karak, for example, has a gigantic circle globy thing, a battle bridge almost. And I believe the Idris did too during the walkthrough mission.
Yes,
where they can see what's going on and prioritize, these guys to go deal with that, these guys go deal with that.
It would be great, and I know why it's not turned on yet. Okay, guys, we are 48 minutes in, and we have a lot more to go through. We're never going to make segment 3 together.
Segment 3 is going to be pushed off to the next one.
Yeah, it's going to get pushed off to the next month.
Another month.
It's okay. We're just on. We're on segment 2A. So let's go to 2B. Turin, I didn't put names down here, and that's my fault. Talk to us about turret improvements.
Yeah. So not being a hot fighter pilot myself, I like to have the ability, nevertheless, to blow stuff up. So with the new turreting improvements, it's bringing turrets back into the play, making them viable on these crew serve ships. Real quickly, some of the improvements that they've done is that you receive the same information now as the pilot has on this HUD as far as the target, the information about the target. You get the vectors where they're going, the trail where they've come from. If you get pins, things of that nature, since if you're in a party on the same ship, you'll get the pins that the pilot puts on it, and you have the ability to target, yourself. There's 2 forms of movement, and I think it's very important that you understand that you now have an ESP function, which is I can't exactly remember what ESP stands for. Extra sense stick precision or something like that. Enhanced stick precision, I think, is what it is. It's as you get closer to the target, it slows down the movement, so therefore you're able to hold it onto the target better. I turned the damn thing off because I don't like it, but you can switch back and forth between it and what's called the relative mode, which is the old way of slaving the turret with the Q key. If you have ESP on, you can with WNS you can increase and decrease the slave movement for the turret if you like it faster or not. The thing that they've done, I think, that's improved it, along with the fixed weapons improvements that they've done throughout this patch, is they have the nudge feature available for the turreting now. If you get the targets close to the lead pip, or you get your shots close to the lead pip, they will begin to nudge toward the target and the shots become more effective. You still have to get it close. It's not an auto gimbal by any means. And if the ship's flying fast enough, it will and you're not able to track it, it will fly out of your field of view before you're able to get a hold of it. But it does give you an opportunity now to take care of some of the desync issues that was happening before, and it makes the turrets more valuable. We've taken some Hurricanes out. We've taken Hammerheads, the Carrack. The Hurricane now, I'll tell you right now, with all the size weapons it has on it, is a very viable ship. It's still a little glassy, but you can definitely throw back a lot of the firepower in it. So all in all, the turrets have greatly improved.
Curious to see how the Super Hornet is doing now. Okay, moving on and trying to pick the speed up. Nom, talk to us about landing tunnels and how they've ruined the game. I mean, how they've made the game better.
Yeah, I love
as you point out, sir, some people are really upset about them. Honestly, they don't bother me too much, provided things fly normally. Brought up earlier, disable proximity assist. That will make your life a lot easier when you're landing, taking off anyway. I guess it's to give more of an airport type feel to people coming in and out of major landing zones, where Oroville and Area 18 is where it currently. Did you want to play a little bit of that video, or one of the videos? But it's so that people aren't just hovering around and bumping each other. It makes it look a little bit more like a controlled airport, given where you have to have a path to get in and out of there. And I don't have too much trouble with that as long as it works. There's also been a problem with when you're coming into land, you get through the tunnel and the hangar's closed, or it closes as you're getting to it. And if it hasn't already opened, you can request again, and then it'll magically pop open. Otherwise, now you're stuck in the zone right over the pads. You can't leave because the moment you fly anywhere, because you don't have a tunnel, you have to the autopilot yanks you back, or it drives you into the ground and kills you. But in principle, I don't have too much trouble with the tunnel itself. It's just there's a lot of bugs with it right now to be aware of. Turn off your proximity assist. You can usually drift up about 1,000-meter elevation before you have to worry about hitting an invisible ceiling, because that's the other thing they've done. You can't see the boundaries of the no-fly zones anymore. You basically know when you've hit it, because when your ship is taken control of. Before then, you're getting warnings, but there's no reading telling you like 10 meters, 5 meters, anything like that. You just have to try your best to stay over the region of the hangars. And see in the video there, sometimes it'll be right behind you, which is a real pain when you're in a huge ship like an 890 or a reclaimer, and you're having to swing around 180 degrees. And you're not all that maneuverable at that altitude. And I'm in
We've talked, Nom, about them putting an arrow or something on there to show us where it's at, right?
Right. Yeah. We've talked about that. Yeah. You need an edge of the screen indicator to tell you at least which way to turn. I turn on my track IR when I'm taking off, because it actually makes it quicker and easier for finding that thing. But that shouldn't be a requirement to have to do that.
No, they have.
Can I say something positive?
Super dim.
And really? Wait. Josh wants to say something positive.
Yeah. Stop. Yeah, we need to freeze the whole thing. Hear what he's got to say.
Record it quick.
Yeah. So look, I have a lot of issues with certain things they're doing. Let's put the bugs aside on the tunnel for a second. Let's talk about a real pilot going into a real airport like that with that many ships around in today's world is going to use something called instrument flight rules, and they're going to be directed by air traffic control. They're going to be told what direction to go, what speed, what altitude.
But that would require us having a compass or something.
Well,
and there's a
okay.
level of skill you're
I'm
not
trying to stay positive.
His point is
you're dragging me down in the mud.
Yeah. His point is they tell you where to go. You don't just get the free fly
Right.
in however you want, whatever.
Right.
But
This is
right.
This is an example of something that is complicated and difficult in today's world and takes a long time to learn. That I think, when done right, oh look, here's the box where I go. I now have a window of time and space to fly in safely. All I got to do is point my ship and control my speed. It's super easy and simple. I think this is an example of the type of things you could take modern complexities, make current capabilities that'd be 1,000 years in the future and be awesome.
And if they can make auto land
you have
at the
8
end of the
people
tunnel.
coming in want to land at the same tunnel at the same time.
Well,
okay.
but
Well, they got to have
you're
different
right.
tunnels. Different
Yeah.
tunnels.
Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
there
Bugs
are.
aside, it's a step in the right direction in a way for these areas. I think.
Completely disagree.
You
I think
well-
it is a solution in search of a problem.
Well,
I think
will say this: you take a big ship and you fly it up through this thing here. You make it through. There's some satisfaction just knowing, oh damn, I made it. Which isn't necessary. So you want to call that a skill-based thing? Go for it.
hey, look, you better get used to being able to fly in arbitrary tunnels, because how do you think we jump from system to system?
Oh no, I
When
get
Pyro
that.
comes online, I mean,
Jay-
it's going to be the same thing.
I'm just saying that the old system worked fine.
But just pick a vector to come in, and
Well,
don't
you
know
have to
not
admit,
supposed to fly.
do you see anybody complaining about the ships traveling in and out of New Babbage, which is totally unrestricted in this manner?
No.
No,
It
you don't.
works well there.
Pretty low, in all honesty. If
It's
the
a
flight
little
traffic
different
is
of an
real high-
approach too, though. I mean, you basically
True
got a
enough.
wall of hangars instead of a bunch of holes in the floor.
But
Well,
even still, even before, I never had problems running into other ships when I was taking off out of Area 18.
Well, you're a
Yeah,
competent pilot.
I will
Well,
say,
but even the uncompetent pilots weren't a danger, really.
on the plus side, it is brighter than it used to be. That's a problem when it first came out. You're holding steady. You've done everything right. You're scanning around. It's like, I don't see any damn tunnel. So they have improved that. Thank you very much.
The drop shadow
Second
goes
thing
a
I want
long
to point
way.
out is you tried pad ramming on Area 18 or Lorville. Can't happen now
How can it not happen?
because
can't
you've
get-
got
you
to
have to
follow
go-
that tunnel down.
You got to follow
Get
that
in
tunnel
there.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, but once you get down in there, you could pad ram anybody that's landing.
No,
in
you're
any
Not
of
for
those
long.
spots.
You get stored. You get stored.
You
in
go
this.
right into a hangar. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, I
no,
thought you
even
flew
if you
down
don't
into
go
the hangar.
The ATC will store you after a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can't just stay there forever.
Now it doesn't solve the problem at R&R stations, whatever the case may be, but I'll give it a nod for that. But in general, I agree with Jay. Just see and avoid. Let's land, okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem. It's a solution, that had no problem. It
Are they
wasn't
trying to
needed.
Are they trying to train us, like Shap said, to go through tunnels or warps? Maybe, but they're not straight line warps.
I mean, they
either,
got to
so-
test the tech somehow. I mean, they don't want to
Right.
release
Well,
a jump point and then not have the tech to figure out how to funnel somebody into it.
Well, they
I like
did
'em.
it though. The,
I like them. I like them.
Yeah,
I don't.
they
I think they're
bother me.
stupid.
They're not that difficult to figure out. I
No,
don't know.
they're not,
I hear
but-
a lot of the hubbub, and I just don't get it, to be honest with you.
Until
It's
guys
just
know it's a pain
annoying.
in the ass. Once you know, it's not that big a deal.
I like the fact that you can fly around New Babbage. I think they should make Lorville and Area 18 much more like New
But
Babbage.
Jay, in real life, if you had a spaceport that complex, that large, you really think ATC is going to let everybody come in a separate vector and land?
No, but
But
it's a
you'd have
computer
more than
game.
one
No.
tunnel too.
It's a computer game.
Well,
I
I,
mean, at the-
understand that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying that with something that large and that complex, I'm surprised they don't let you get to a perimeter and then they auto land you from outside,
They probably would. Reality.
because that's what in reality would happen.
I get that. I'm just saying
Yeah,
it's
you need a pilot.
It slows stuff down, and it's a solution in search of a problem. That's all I'm saying. I like New Babbage better, just because you don't have to fiddle with any of that.
Well, I mean, we'll see when we get servers that can handle more than 50 people. If you can get
That's true.
1,000 people,
Well, you're not.
Jeez.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
Anyways, we're
anyhow.
going way down the road here.
We're down the okay. Moving on. HUD improvements. Still missing drop shadows or strokes on a lot of the HUDs.
Yeah.
But who likes the new HUDs? Anybody?
I do.
Bueller?
Absolutely.
I don't
dislike
them enough to say, like, these HUDs,
But they didn't fix the primary problem.
Visibility.
Still blind.
I mean, for crying out loud, the old HUDs were fine. Just put a freaking stroke around the text so that you have 1 or 2 pixels and call it a day. If you're going to mess with it, why don't you fix that? I mean, if you're going to go and revamp the whole HUD, how can you not put strokes on the HUD?
Well, they'll probably do a HUD refactor, and we'll see that next roadmap.
Well, I will say this. I remember some of the videos where they've talked about this. They talked about just making the changes to the current HUDs and how a lot of the stuff was bespoke to this ship or that ship. And they just wanted to start fresh. Now the HUDs are a bit more consistent across the ships. It'll be easier to add those changes, like adding drop shadows and stuff down the road, where they can do that after they've added all the elements they want to add. Now that ships like the 300 series and others that didn't have indicators to tell them that ESP was on, that landing gear was up or down, it's nice to have stuff like that. And then you throttle up like that.
I'm just saying, while you're in there changing the HUD, how can you be so lazy to not put a drop shadow or a stroke?
I don't understand why they couldn't have done it to this.
Yeah. I mean, let me go in here and fix this problem. And while I'm in here, this one simple task that a monkey could do, I'm going to ignore. The one that people have been moaning about and going, when I have light text on a light planet, I can't read it. Yeah. How hard is it to, I mean, it's 2 pixel stroke on this element, and this element done.
They do have it in the rock for what it's worth.
Yeah, well.
I have 2 issues with the new HUD. The first issue is, who in their right mind thought of a logarithmic scale for your speed factor? I mean, that just makes no sense to me at all. I got this thing cranked up 3/4 of the way up. Last time I took logarithmic mathematics was back in college. I'm wondering why I'm not flying faster. And I'm remembering, it's the 3 tiny little lines at the top that I have to get to first before my ship flies faster. The second thing I have is when I'm coming out of quantum drive and my quantum drive is spooling down in cooldown mode, it ought to switch back to my regular flight model.
Yes.
Because I can't see my attitude, I can't see my speed, I can't see anything until my ballasted quantum drive spools down. And if I made the mistake of sticking in one of the other drives, it takes 20 seconds to spool down. I'm watching it as I'm plummeting toward the planet. So those are my 2 things.
Or getting shot by pirates.
Or getting shot by pirates or anything else, yes.
It just, unlock the HUD.
I don't like that the speed limiter and the thrust limiter are on the same indicator. I know that they move differently when you do it, but those should be 2 separate indicators.
Aren't they the little wheel and the bar
but
that goes up and down?
Yeah, but
the line is the speed limiter.
Yeah, on your left hand side.
The cruise control.
The white line is.
Notice that there's no longer a terminal velocity.
Yeah,
and you can go as fast as you want. Used to be, you went as fast as you want to, you'd blow up. You see the T-Vel, you'd blow up. Now you can't get there. Your ship won't be allowed to go there. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. It's just a change.
I feel like if people want to lawn dart, they should be able to lawn dart.
Or burn up. I mean,
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah. If they were to rip pieces of their ship off, break off wings, whatever. Yeah, that's on them.
Yep. But that would require, I don't know, a flight, an actual flight model.
But overall, I think I could see more in the new HUD than I could in the old HUD.
Yes. Still missing strokes.
Step in the right
direction. That's all I'm going
to
say.
By see more, I mean it's not cluttered up with text on my screen. That seems to be pushed to the sides where it needs to be.
Good. I completely agree. I'm just saying, for crying out loud, somebody from CIG is watching this stream. There's 80 people watching. In all likelihood, somebody from CIG is watching. Please, for the love of God, please put strokes around the HUD items so we can see them in all situations, instead of squinting, tilting your head, and kind of guessing what your altitude is.
rolling the ship so you can put
Rolling
it
the ship.
against the background.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
Right.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah. Try to get a strap to line up just right with the sun.
Okay, moving on. Nom, tell us about the trading app.
Well, it's not much there, but there's a lot of promise. It's something that's been long needed. Just rather than having to do some janky, take an escort mission or whatever, give out a beacon for a player to take, so you can then put them in your ship and transfer funds to them. Now you can, you just name the player and it works. It's actually pretty simple. It's going to make doing what we were talking about earlier with a couple of guys in rocks and a Valkyrie flying around. Once they're done, they can divvy up what they've sold. It makes a lot of that simpler. Trading with people, being able to pay your escorts. I'm sure they're working on it, but it really needs a ledger, so you know
Yes.
who paid you. You know,
And
who
a
you
notification.
paid, a notification coming up saying that it happened. Only way you know you've been paid is if you're watching your balance before and after. Yeah, and yeah, it's just a good thing. It's been people have wanted for a long time. The other side of that is now that it's easier to transfer funds, there's more incentive to exploit the economic hacks in the game, to have money that you can then sell to people trying to basically create a gray market, or black market really, like it was in WoW with WoW Gold.
It already exists. It's already
there's no
on.
try. They're on eBay selling AUEC
Talk
already.
about Shep. You knew a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's already people on the gray market, selling AUEC. And to your point, it incentivizes people to find bugs, which is good. Finding bugs is good, but then exploit them to the point at which they literally break the game. I mean, we saw that these last couple days, where an org, found a bug, didn't report it, and then set up auto clickers for their 19-member organization, and basically let the auto clickers run for 3 days straight before they were essentially they were DDoSing a backend server with all these requests. They were doing something like 30 clicks a minute or something like that, doing these exchanges, and they basically broke a backend server for the entire community for days until CIG was able to figure it out. So, the transfer app is great, but again, like you said, it incentivizes people to do things like that. That's just it. And CIG needs to be better about looking for it too. Yeah, it's going to happen for sure.
Yeah. Economic exploits, they're always going to be a thing. There's always going to be another one. Like you got a bug in on one right now, right? On one you found.
Yep, I got an issue council report in PTU, mind you. And hopefully it gets enough visibility before they try to push it to live, because now everybody knows about it. Because I put it on blast. I put it, on Reddit. I put a post on Spectrum. Just to let people know about it. So the more visibility it gets, hopefully it gets addressed before it gets abused.
And some organizations decide to exploit that, haven't they?
Yeah. So
correct.
You did the right thing, whereas they 3 days later they only posted about it because they broke
everything.
Because the server broke.
Yeah. So the same org that broke the server on the live build claims to have already used the bug after I shared it. Claims to already have used the bug to crash a PTU server. So I haven't verified that myself. But it just goes to show you that a 19-member org can do some serious damage if there's an exploit that isn't caught quickly enough. So, and then I just posted the issue council report in chat, Twitch chat, if anybody is interested in trying to duplicate it for themselves and verify my report. I'd appreciate if you actually verify it instead of just clicking contribute, so that we have some justification. But take a look at it, see what you think.
Yep. Downvote it.
Yeah.
So we know that there's going to be. So what is the rake that they're taking? What is the
let's not give it. I mean, Chef's put it up there. I don't want to advertise.
No. I'm talking about the trading app now. How much do they take?
Oh.
What's the percentage?
5%. I think it's 5%.
Yeah, I want to know where my taxes are.
5 or 3.
What's that paying?
Well,
What's that paying for?
I did it for what I gave you, Gnome. It was a 5% tax on me. Now it is better. 3.10.1, the PTU. They made some small improvements to the. You keep calling it trading app. I don't like to use that term. That's trading is trading. This is passing money to other people. Passing credits. Accounting app. There we go. Accounting app's a better term. They have put another step in there. It's even a little bit easier than it was in 3.10. But as far as we know, there still isn't that you receive a notification saying you were paid X number of credits. And that needs to be in there also.
It does. There's some kind of ledger of what you sent and what you received would be.
I mean, you know, they're tracking it.
Yeah.
It's in a log somewhere.
One would
hope.
hope.
The ledger that's on my MobiGlass. I mean, they track my criminal activity. Well, they track my trading.
Yeah. So, 5%. That's pretty steep, but at least it's not 30 like Apple. So.
And maybe they should put their at some point. We don't even know if there are limits at all. Are there? I mean, has anybody seen a limit on how much they can transfer?
No, I
there probably should be at some point.
Let's
how
get
much is in your current bank, probably, and that's about it.
You mean I can't
Celtic
surround
Storm,
you and
Celtic Storm,
make you trans more?
Send me 10 million credits.
Oh,
let's
God.
test it. Let's test it.
See how much he has.
I've got a Nigerian brother.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving along, trying to wrap this up before we get to the 2-hour mark, just talking about 310 again. NPC behaviors. Jacqueline, could you go ahead and pull up the little fighter video here, and let's take a peek at this full screen and where the guys are killing each other.
The bunker video.
Yeah, the bunker video. Yeah, Nom posted it. Like 10 a.m. this morning. You probably didn't scroll up far enough.
Way to go,
Nom, if you could repost that real quick, that'd be great.
Too early in the morning. That's what happens.
I know.
It's called
coffee.
About NPCs in 310 is the title of it, I think. If I can find it.
1 second. Yep. She's looking for it, but she can't find it.
I'm looking.
Well, speaking of bunker missions, we do have some new FPS weapons that have come along this patch that are pretty handy. Got a C54 SMG, 50-round mag.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's pretty handy for the up close and personal work. We got the zap guns, the Uberev lightning rifle and the lightning pistol, which have some interesting implications. They don't tase people yet. They kill them, so you know it's not for capturing people, but you can also friendly fire yourself. If you're too close to the thing you're shooting, you can get a chain, a lightning bolt chain, and I suggest checking them out. They're cool.
Chap, does
you got to get back to
lightning
flipping screens.
Or is it just
I don't believe the pistol chains, but it will hurt you. It will hurt you if you're too close to what you're shooting.
Oh, okay.
So it's not for shooting people point blank from the hip.
Well, unfortunately, we can't seem to find that video that Nom posted.
I'll have it in just
apologize.
1 second.
If it was in the script, it wouldn't be a problem.
Uh-huh.
Ooh.
Shots fired.
I think that one connected.
Yeah, that was a good shot.
I think we're getting a bad connection somewhere.
Go through a tunnel, guys. Hold on.
Where do you want to? Just posted it in co-host planning.
There, she's got it. She can bring it up and put it. Yeah. Make sure audio's off and make it full screen.
Anticipation is killing me.
This is a really good video.
Taking fire.
She forgot to take it full screen. There it goes.
Yeah, they're still a little bad about putting their
it.
back to the entrance. That guy was looking away from me, looking over the railing.
Well, they're dumb pirates. What do you want?
You have it set for 1080p or 360 because it looks 360. Go to the wrench or the gear icon.
I did like this.
Yeah, the main thing I liked about with some of the improvements, they don't just Zerg rush you. After the first guy drops in the past, the rest of them would just come running, and you better be ready to take them all down and not run out of ammo.
Yeah, you had to have an F-55.
So that's why I was taking so long here. Then this guy comes running up, and I'm using the S-71, which is basically a DMR, and it's
new this patch, right?
Was that like 3 shots you got him with?
S-71's been around a while.
A little
You've
while.
got a silencer on it, right?
I got a silencer on it, so it's generally not alerting the whole place now, which is good.
Maybe that accounted for the non-Zerg rush, you think? Maybe?
To a certain degree. If I did use something, well, later on I throw a grenade and they still don't all come rushing.
Okay.
And this guy here, I don't know what was going on there in the game, because I'm like shooting right next to his head and he doesn't react.
Typical NPC guard.
Yeah, on break.
Just had his Walkman on.
You can't hear it. You can't hit him.
That guy there, you can't hear the audio, but I heard a shot ring nearby me. I turned and he's on the catwalk, and I pop him. And then it's like I'm still waiting for. I'm just used to all the time where they just come running, so I'm all the time waiting for that.
Yeah.
And so
So now you switch weapons.
That's the C54, correct?
Yeah, which is sweet. It's faster rate than the Custodian, right? Got a little
wow.
faster. And it's so you'll burn through ammo, but it's very effective. I mean, just dropped him.
You can see the spread too. The spread's pretty decent at that range.
Now, there's a lot of games. One thing they've lacked before was, you want to have the feel of a weapon. I guess it's in a game, but the feel of it. Some games they give you a nice meaty thump when the round hits and stuff like that, let you know you hit your target. I think they did a pretty good job with the C54 on that. It feels really satisfying to use it and hit your target. And couldn't see in the video there, I think, but you could see a little guy bobbing his head. He dashed behind that crate.
Yep.
Using the cover against me, that's one of the things they've added in this patch is cover usage. I throw the grenade, and you hear him go, ow, but he doesn't just jump out immediately. And then I throw another one, but it goes short. Of course, grenades are still borked. And it's a guesswork on whether they actually
Ooh,
work.
He got tossed around there.
Yeah, the grenade went off, but I'd already killed him, so his body got thrown.
That's some good ragdoll.
I'm just surprised the grenade didn't land at his feet.
Or Nom's feet?
Who's Noms?
Yeah, it almost did.
Yeah, Noms.
The second one fell way short. It fell a little short, and I was like backing off because otherwise I would have taken some of the same damage he did. And I accidentally hit prone. That would have been bad if they'd run up on me.
Cosway brings up some good points in chat there. He's saying that in his experience that after the first one was killed, they get alerted, but they don't really investigate.
Yeah, they're not doing that. No. Like you said, I am using a silencer, so that might have affected their aggression a little bit. And here you could just see the guy's head bobbing along there while he was like kind of hunched over and running over to the left on the catwalk. So that's the last two kills that are kind of interesting.
Did you jump over the rail and knife them midair?
Yeah, right. I have had these where I forgot to bring enough ammo and I had to knife the last guy. It's like you're just kind of running around him and trying to hit your knife when you can and hoping he doesn't get a shot in on you.
The question is, how many times did you have to go back to the Cutlass Red before this happened?
I like how the gun just floated to the ground.
Yeah, I appreciate this note, by the way. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go to 5.
Yeah, skip to 5 minutes if you would.
Hey, thank you, Dome.
The guns have Xi'an technology in them, so they float to the ground lightly after they've been dropped.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I've worked my way to the right, and yes, yeah, there we go.
You've killed all these guys from the entrance. I think that's what's in.
Yeah, dropped 6 of them from the entrance. Now I worked my way here. I didn't see anybody. Now somewhere right when I go behind this pillar, one of them comes running up. Right about here, I thought I heard a sound, and so I keep moving around, and there he is. See that slide?
Yeah,
he was safe. He was safe. I'll give it to him.
Yeah, so he was using cover in the direction that he thought I had been. So that's good. They actually have some knowledge of where the threat was based on their last information. And he used that cover. And then let's see here. There's not much left in the video.
I got one more kill done.
Yeah. But any questions?
Well, they clearly are behaving better.
Much better. They're not like staring at walls, clipped into each other, all standing together in a corner. So one grenade finishes the mission.
Say what you will about the Zerg Rush, but 9 times out of 10, it was pretty effective for the NPCs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't have an LMG, you were pretty.
Yeah, if you didn't have a buddy or an LMG, you were screwed. Yeah, they would come get your ass.
Yeah. I'm always narrowing these little culverts. What do you call this? These little corners. I've been shot more than once, but some guy just derped into the wall there, and you didn't see him the first time you look. You turn around, he's just standing there, and then he kills you. So at least I haven't seen any of that magically appearing NPCs. So that's a good thing too. And right about here, I'm just working my way, and then I can hear this. I can hear him running, and he actually caught sight of me and started shooting at me. You can't tell here, but you can hear the shots hitting around me. And that's it.
Okay.
And once again, that C-54 is awesome. But the way he was running, I could have mistaken that for a player. Seriously.
Yeah, that sprint looked pretty good. Okay. I probably would have thought he was a player. To be honest.
And trying to hurry us along a little bit, let's look at the new Grimhex stills. Those you should have, Jacqueline.
I haven't been here
Grimhex.
yet.
There should be some hangers that Jolly sent over.
I was shocked the first time I went. I was going to the gun store, and I went up that little alleyway and opened that airlock door, expecting to see the pipes and the chasm, and holy shit, was my mind blown. It's like a illicit gambling den in there now with a great view.
And a hot dog stand.
And a hot dog stand.
They were posted at 4:45 p.m. on Discord. They're
not to mention the new hangers.
Screenshots from.
Can you still land on those pads? Do they still assign you to those?
For what?
Yes.
They never give you the pads that I've seen.
Co-host
I haven't even tried to land on them.
Yeah, the like 9 pads they had up top.
Still there.
Okay.
Every time
Somehow
I've gone
we
back
didn't
in the
get those
new one,
pictures.
they always give us the hangers.
Yeah.
Well, needless to say, there's new stuff at Grimhex. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Biggest thing on the Grimhex thing is there's a large pad. You land a Carrack, no problem. It's actually, where the pads normally are at, and then there's up against the side of I'll call it the asteroid. On top of that asteroid, there's now a nice large landing pad.
Mm-hmm.
You get at least a Carrack-sized ship in there.
Actually,
that's the hangar they have for it right there.
I think Reclaimers and 890s can actually spawn there now.
And I believe that. I absolutely believe that.
It's a huge hangar.
It's very tight on the Carrack, though. I mean, like if you pop the turrets out on the side,
F11.
The port and starboard turrets, if you pop them out, you're hitting the wall.
That's true. That's true at a lot of the places right now, too.
The 890's been popular amongst pirates.
Small changes. New
Click
area
open
up there.
original,
This is the
please.
racing venue.
Open
it's
original.
currently closed, but just so you know, there's supposed to be racing and gamble on in the future. We'll see how that pans out and stuff like that. Not much to do down there other than look at the pretties, but don't waste your time outside of that.
It's a cool view, and I love the color scheme of Grimhex. I don't like to go to Grimhex just because there's usually some asshole. The asteroids, but there's always some asshole hanging out with a retaliator or something, just waiting to pop you when you
or an
want
eclipse.
them in. Yeah, something just waiting to pop you in that 10 kilometers that you've got between popping in an armistice, or you get rammed off of. Well, I guess that's not a problem anymore, but. The one thing I did notice though in PTU is you can't hand-to-hand fight. I thought you were supposed to be able to hand-to-hand each other inside Grimhex. I thought that was like a thing.
I think you can. You can use fists. I thought.
I tried it in the last PTU build, and I couldn't get it to go. But maybe you have to be in a certain area of Grimhex and not just like anywhere.
That's something they've turned on and off many times in the past.
Yeah. I think that'll be neat. That's something else we can bet on. We can have fights with side bets.
Well, very least you can go and use the hangar on a Carrack as an arena.
Yeah, well, whoever's got the best FPS wins. Best latency wins the fight.
So moving along to
last picture real quick was the bartender pouring a beer. So it is out there. You can get a beer.
Favorite.
However, I don't see beer yet in the
purchase list.
Needs to be added. They are adding a couple more consumables eventually.
Literally unplayable without beer.
I'm getting a refund. We need a stout. We need a stout in there.
IPA.
They also added a new store at New Babbage, Microtech, and I don't think we have screenshots of that, but it looks like an Apple store, and you could buy different color Moby glasses for outrageous amounts of money. So there you go. If you're in the mood and want to have a specialized Moby glass, go to Microtech.
And I know most of the people in this particular group don't care, but Pico the Penguin, the little plushie.
Oh my God!
Yeah, see there it is.
I do one every night.
Nope.
Pico the Penguin.
Again, we can design a penguin that you could carry around in game, but we can't put 3 different ones. Sorry, I didn't even realize that. Now watch the rage monster come out. but you can't put a freaking drop shadow on your HUD.
Different teams.
Can't give me a compass.
The penguin team and the HUD team, they never talk.
Oh, or a compass, or some type of GPS coordinate system, or some type
Or
of
an
navigation
RWR.
coordinate system, or an RWR of some nature. I mean, it's just, yeah. Sorry, plushie, but we can have in-game plushies that
Gotta
you can
have
buy for real money.
It's important. It's marketing.
It's important to the lore of the game, Jay.
They're sold out because of you, Jolly.
I didn't buy one. Talk to Shap. I know he bought one.
Yeah. Guilty as charged.
Guilty
I
as
was
charged.
tempted to get one just for something for the shelf, but
Oh,
I
you
just
wait.
couldn't quite do it.
We're going to do a HangarReady, and he's going to be sitting in the chair instead of me one of these times.
Did they actually sell physical versions of it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, $30.
Oh, I didn't know that. I would have bought one to put on the shelf back here, but
30
You
bucks.
might still be able to.
They're back
Oh.
ordered,
Back
but
ordered.
they're still taking orders.
I
Yeah.
might do that.
I don't think they ever had any. I think they're making their order based on how many orders they get.
Yeah, I suspect you're right.
I mean,
Okay, and then one last thing on this topic before we get to closing. Absolute zero temps on some moons. I'm not sure which one of you guys put this on the list, but who was it?
That would be me. And it's
Okay,
been a
so
pet
tell
peeve
us
of
about
mine.
how-
mine too.
How
Yep.
science breaking
So bad.
this is.
Well, it's pretty bad. I mean, I know a lot of people say, well, "What's the big deal? It's a game. We already ignore radiation in space." Well, but the thing is, it's part of it is just game balance. It's you can't go any lower. I mean, it is absolute zero, and a lot of these moons they're almost at that temperature the whole time. It's not even consistent from day to night cycle. One of the things they posted, I think it was either 3.9 or 3.10, was they were adding these variances in temperature based on the time of day on the moon or the planet. I'm not really seeing that too much. I mean, I've been in region on some like Ida with someone the other day, and it was fluctuating like 30 degrees up or down, and it didn't matter what time of day it was. But the thing is, it's from a gameplay point of view. If you want to have these extreme zones, the greatest extreme doesn't need to be common. Okay, if you're going to have gameplay that's affected by going to the greatest of extremes, you're not going to make that the norm, which is what we essentially have in a lot of places in the system right now. And so that seriously needs to get adjusted. Yeah, I'm all for having a challenge, but you get out of your ship and you got 10 minutes to live, and you're trying to break a rock. It's a little ridiculous.
Well, you got more than that in the
proper suit.
In the proper suit.
But not as much as you would think. I mean,
no, not even in the cold weather suit. If you're at absolute zero, I think it's maybe 15, 18 minutes.
Yeah,
max.
No, it's ridiculous.
12.
No,
no. It may be like half hour to 45
not
minutes.
In the
heaviest one.
No, not in the at absolute zero, Jolly. You'll still freeze.
In the game, the Nova whatever it is suit, you're not gonna freeze.
Novikov.
Really?
Thank you. Yeah, I spent 30 minutes sitting out in the middle of MT. It was an op, and myself.
But you're on Microtech. Doesn't get.
We're talking about a moon that's got absolute zero as the temperature setting.
The thing is, the Novikov goes down to like what, minus 225.
Yeah.
221.
270, 225, minus 225 is I forget the terminologies again, but if you're in the middle of space, it's minus 225.
No, I'm talking about what they show for the suit is minus. And on the surface of Pluto, it's like, I looked it up, it was like minus 240, 230. And we're seeing, when I'm saying absolute zero, that's minus 273. You look up the specs for the Novikov, and it goes down to like minus 221 or 225, I forget which. And so
there are some problems.
You don't even see anywhere close to 273 on the surface of any body in the solar system that we have here.
Yeah, there's some issues but those are easy tweaks to fix. I mean,
that's a slider.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just need to go back through and adjust it.
We hope.
But the thing is, if it's actually affected by day or night, I wasn't seeing that.
You're correct, because I forget. I think it was Arc 141 on Daymar, which is
Yeah, it's
hot.
Daymar. Yeah, it's Daymar.
And I was there in the night, and it was plus, I don't know, 80 some odd degrees Celsius. So I had 16 minutes with the case. Went back there in the daytime, and it was cooler, which makes no sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some problems. There's no
Makes
question
logic.
about it.
Back to Life brought up an awesome thing for 310 that we kind of missed, is that the comm screen in the ship refreshes itself now.
Which is
that's
amazing. Really
amazing.
Nice.
So like if you have it open on your MFD and you fly close to a point where there's someone you can talk to, it'll automatically populate on your screen, and you can
instead of having to play the comm screen shuffle with
exactly.
your MFD.
You can interaction mode, punch the button, and you're good to go.
Is it showing the ATC that way as well?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
So let's go around the horn. We're at 1 hour and 30 minutes, and there's no way I'm even touching segment 3 tonight. Because that's like a 45-minute discussion, or at least a half hour.
2-hour blocks for these shows.
Yeah.
Or do them more often. Either way.
We got to do something.
Yep.
Let's, I said that if we did 3 in a row and we couldn't empty the show list, we'd go to, twice a month for a while until we could, but I'm not quite ready to, so we'll see what happens on the next episode. But let's just go around the block just here really quick and get some takes from folks. The other thing I want to talk about is just 1 second, see if I can pin you guys down on the next show date so that we can announce that. And I really am putting you on the spot. So let's say September 19th. That's what's going to be the next show date.
Sold.
So
can do.
Yep.
Okay.
Good. So, guys, next show is this September 19th. So, Jolly, overall, I know we've done a lot of complaining and moaning and groaning about 310, but what's your overall? Are you happy, pleased, dislike it, hate it? What?
I think 310 is a plus. They've had too many bugs going on. I think 310.1 when it comes out will make a big difference for people. So give it a chance. Let that patch come through here. They've made some good improvements in that one. And a lot of that, it seems like there's an old saying, you're flying an aircraft, never fly the A model, fly the B, C, or D. They worked out the problems with the A. Same holds true. When you're playing Star Citizen, never fly, the 0.0, fly the 0.1, 0.2, et cetera. So I'd say it holds true in this case too.
Definitely. Turin, what are your thoughts?
I'd say the targeting system aside, 310 is there's a lot of pluses in it. I actually like the new flight model. I think they've got a lot more to go with it to make it even more aerodynamically relevant or accurate in atmosphere, but it's come a long way. I love the feel now for the ships. They feel heavier to me. They feel like they've got mass. They've got if you're flying a smaller ship versus a larger ship, you need a different skill set. The targeting system, they might want to take that one back and take a look at it. Getting feedback. But overall, step in the right direction.
Good. Nom?
Over like Jolly, I think overall it's a net positive. I'm looking forward to when 310.1 stable enough and they fix the economy thing so they can drop that to live. There's a lot of good things in there. I don't think is there anything in there that we don't like that can't be fixed or tweaked to be better. It's not like when hover mode dropped in and it's like, please rip it out now. So I think overall it's a good thing. The only other thing I think I didn't mention package missions, basically because I still think they got a lot to tweak there.
Yeah,
I feel there's there's elements that are missing, and I'm just waiting for those to come in probably in the next quarter.
3.9's box missions were better than 310's in my opinion.
Yep.
Oh, 100%.
Josh. No audio, Josh.
Perfect.
Nailed it.
Massive improvement.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We can, yes.
I don't know why my audio interface turned off. That's the second time it's done it. I'll figure that out.
It's called a button.
Yeah, well, I'm over here. Hands are over, right? Whatever. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I've been playing 3.1 more than 3.10. if they want to make it a 10 out of 10, they can go back and listen to like the 5 shows, in particular, all of my perfect advice. Take that, put it in the new one, and then get a 10 out of 10.
Fair enough. And Shapcap, what are your thoughts on 310 and the overall good, bad, and different?
310 good, 310 1 better. I like that they were able to quickly fix a couple problems in 310 and get PTU much better. If you're playing PU right now, stop, go play PTU and point out the bugs there because it's a much better experience. You know, I kind of like where things are going. Again, to echo Nam, some things that could use some improvement for sure. But I don't see anything that needs to be massively overhauled at this point. And then on a more tragic note, the Pico the Penguin plushie in the merch store has finally sold out. It's no longer on back order. So if you missed out, you missed out, at least until they order more.
Or you go buy them for $1,000 on eBay.
Yeah, you can go buy them on eBay.
Yeah. I've got dry tears. Can you see him? Can you see him here?
I see it. Yeah. Poor guy.
So, okay. Well, I think we had another great episode. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We averaged somewhere between 90 and 100 viewers. So I think we did pretty well. So, guys, again, if you're looking for an organization, come check out Atlas Defense Industries. And we'll be back on September 19th at 8 o'clock Central. Thank you, and have an absolutely wonderful week. Stay safe or month. Stay safe, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, folks.
Thanks for watching.